The oldest story of sea serpents can be traced all the way back to ancient Mesopotamia, around 5,000 years ago. These creatures are featured in multiple traditions, separated by thousands of miles and even thousands of years. The Cadborosaurus sightings in Hawaii have been fairly consistent, mentioning a large-eyed, horse-like or camel head, often with short horns, a long neck, serpentine body, a pair of flippers, and a bifid horizontal tail. It is large, with estimated lengths ranging from 5 to 15 meters. The animal's body is often reported to sport brownish hair, and a serrated ridge is sometimes said to be present along the dorsal surface. Caddy has been described apparently pursuing and catching fish, and several accounts describe the animal snapping at and even catching and eating seabirds. What could this strange creature be?
There have been reports of strange creatures in the area.
Witnesses say they couldn't believe what they were seeing.
Welcome, beloved fofers, doubters, naysayers, non-believers, and skeptics. Welcome to Paranormal Fable or Fact. I am Victor Trevino, joined by my co-host and beautiful wife, Tammy.
We are your humble guides to tales of alleged hoaxes, unbelievable stories, and the overall strange.
If you want your story on our show, send us an email at pfableorfact@proton.me. The rules for debunkers are in the show notes as usual. Give us a good review, hit the notification bell, and subscribe, and also share our show. Tell a friend, post a little thing on your social media, whatever. It's the easiest way to support us, but if you really want to support us a little more, you can become a patron of the show and get your name in our credits. As always, our appreciation goes out to our veterans, our troops, and our first responders. God be with you all and yours. Now, the question of the week. Do you think the Cadborosaurus could possibly exist? Leave a yay or nay in the comments, and we will announce next week's winner in the show with congratulations, and we will get you a free sticker. It's not one of those cheap stickers either, is it? They're good stickers.
Yeah, they are.
So, this show is called Sea Serpent, and it's from our Monsters of the Abyss series, Part 2. Part 1 got pushed all the way back to Season 1. I don't know why. But we're okay, here it is, Season 3, and we're finally doing Monsters of the Abyss 2. We are going to be talking about a possible cryptid that was allegedly found in the stomach of a sperm whale called the Cadborosaurus, nicknamed Caddy. Now, Caddy had two main champions, a Dr. Edward L. Bousfield, who was a qualified zoologist specializing in amphipod crustaceans, and then Dr. Paul H. LeBlond, an oceanographer with special interest in oceanic waves, fisheries, and coastal oceanography. They discovered photographs of Caddy that were taken all the way back in the early 1900s, 1937 to be exact, but they discovered those photographs and brought them to the mainstream in the early 1990s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Now, unfortunately, neither of these champions are still with us. Ed Bousfield passed away in 2016, followed by Paul LeBlond in February of 2020. Bousfield and LeBlond drew attention to the mid-July 1937 discovery of a remarkable animal carcass that measured about 3.8 meters long, or 12.4 feet, extracted from the stomach of a sperm whale caught off the Langara Island near Naden Harbor whaling station. Naden Harbor was on what were then called the Queen Charlotte Islands off British Columbia. The area today is known as Haida Gwaii. The carcass was noticed as the flensers were opening up the whale's stomach. I had to look up that word flenser because I didn't know what it was. They are workers who skin or strip blubber off of caught marine animals. You know, the whalers, basically. Yeah. So they're opening up the stomach and they find this weird carcass sitting in there. They alerted their supervisor, an F.S. Hubband. The point was made that everyone there who regarded it as remarkable was already familiar with such creatures as the six-gilled shark, the ragfish, and large squid, and thus they couldn't possibly have been mistaken in their feeling that it was something new. Of course, skeptics in academia dismissed these claims, no idea why, possibly arrogance, who knows, because what do fishermen know about waters that they fished for years and years, right?
Right.
And sea captains that have been sea captains for decades, they can't make those calls. But Hubband decided to make a record of the specimen and had it prepared for photography. It was laid out on a work table with some wooden packing cases were placed alongside of it to increase the available surface length so that they could lay it out all the way. I guess the table wasn't long enough. And white sheets were hung behind it to tidy things up for the photographs. I didn't know this, but tissue samples of the remains were actually collected and sent to BC Provincial in Victoria, British Columbia, where then museum director Francis Kermode tentatively identified the remains as a fetal baleen whale, though he was very non-committal on a definitive answer. So, remember what I said about skeptics and scientists saying, those fishermen, they can't make that call.
Right.
So I looked up Mr. Kermode.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my initial Google search stated, yes, absolutely, Francis Kermode was a scientist, and his findings were later held up by academia to disprove the carcass possibly belonging to an unknown or cryptid species. So I did a second Google search into what type of scientist Francis Kermode was, because remember, they made the argument, that guy was a virologist, so he's not qualified. Remember that?
Right.
That was during Season 2, Episode 42, Okele Mbembe. So I wanted to know, what if this guy's a virologist?
Right.
I'm only using their own standards against him. A second Google search revealed that he actually was not a scientist. He was just a museum director, and he also served as a curator at one time, but his main trade was a taxidermist.
Oh, interesting.
Well, taxidermists aren't scientists either.
Nope.
So they relied on his taxidermic experience of the carcass to uphold his findings, which is extremely hypocritical when they didn't afford the same experience with the caught species for the fishermen and the sea captain that were there.
Yeah.
Right? So when he gave them the answer they wanted to hear, Francis Kermode, that is, we'll accept that because he was a taxidermist. But you fishermen, no, because you think it's something new. You see how that works?
Yeah.
I guarantee that they would have completely dismissed Mr. Kermode's findings if he agreed with the fishermen that it was something new. So fast that our heads would spin. What do you think?
I think so too.
Now, the physical samples and the carcass itself eventually deteriorated, got discarded, or went missing. No samples of the creature remain in any museum collection today.
Suspicious.
Surprise, surprise. Right. So we're already getting into controversy because they're already contradicting themselves. Oh, no, you're not scientists, so you can't identify that it's something new. But this guy that's not a scientist either, because he's telling us what we want to hear, we're going to take his findings, and his findings stand because he's a taxidermist.
Yeah, yet your expert isn't a scientist either.
Exactly. And they use that to completely downplay what was found. And I think that's why it didn't become bigger back in 1937. They just shut it down with this guy's... They probably lied in the newspapers and said, he's a qualified scientist.
That's their typical way of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Just shut it down.
And this is nothing against Mr. Kermode, Francis Kermode, because he was tentative and he was very non-committal.
Yeah.
He just said, I think it's a fetal baleen whale. So it was everybody else that piled everything on. So, of course, we're getting right into the Inarguable Truths, baby. You ready?
Yep.
Inarguable Truth number 1. Using description inconsistencies of a cryptid as proof it doesn't exist is weak.
Number 2, the Kelly Nash video creatures remain largely unidentified.
Number 3, oarfish sightings out at sea are not a good example for sea serpent reports.
Number 4, it is difficult to classify a species without a carcass or physical sample.
Number 5, there is very little chance that lake and sea monsters are surviving dinosaurs.
Number 6, science believes that large unknown vertebrate marine species remain undiscovered.
So going back to inarguable truth number 1, using description inconsistencies of a cryptid as proof it doesn't exist is weak. A quick Google search will tell anyone that wants to know that most reports on undiscovered or unknown species prior to science identifying them are wildly inconsistent as well. Panda reports, for example, you know the panda?
Yeah.
Before they were discovered, the reports were so wildly inconsistent that science believed it was a mythical creature. They didn't even think it was real. And we're talking about that picture we were just looking at where, it shows like one is like white, one looks like a giraffe, and this is the different descriptions of Caddy.
Right.
They're saying, well, look at how many different inconsistencies in the reports there are. That proves they're probably just seeing different species.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. Yeah, one looked like a shark head and...
One looked like a finger. You know what I mean? Just, no.
A finger. Yeah, it did.
Yeah, it looked like a finger.
And they're saying that's evidence that people aren't seeing one creature, that they're seeing different species, and they're all misidentifying it. It's not a good argument that the creature doesn't exist.
No.
Even the same went for the mountain gorilla. The reports about them being in the forest were so wildly inconsistent, they were treated like cryptids.
Yeah.
They didn't believe they actually existed. And then our little buddy, the dingiso, if you remember, that's what we said was a tree kangaroo. They're not actually tree kangaroos. They actually spend much more time on the ground, but they're so rare. Science is finding out more about them now because they're reporting on them. But if you remember, they called it the man of the forest. They said it was the sacred animal that they never hunted, and science thought it was all legend and myth.
Yeah.
So to argue that just because reports of any cryptid, I'm not talking about just Cadborosaurus, I'm talking across the board, and this goes for our listeners who are, if you guys are like looking up cryptids, you're interested in that kind of stuff, and you see those arguments, well, the reports are so wildly inconsistent. Just remember in the back of your head, it's not a good argument to say that the creature doesn't exist, because all reports on known species were at one time wildly inconsistent.
Right.
It doesn't automatically disqualify anything as an actual creature, and in my opinion, it's an irresponsible and dismissive argument. Now, there's a vertebrate paleontologist called Darren Naish, and at first I thought I wasn't going to like this guy, because he was challenging LeBlanc and Boesfield with kind of, I don't want to say dumb arguments, but he was kind of criticizing them for this reason. Because they, in his opinion, they were ignoring all these wild reports, of inconsistent reports on this creature. Right. And that was his argument, that they were practicing bad science because they weren't recognizing, that fact.
Right.
They weren't allowing it to change their minds on what Cadborosaurus was. So he was criticizing them for it. So I said, shame on you, Mr. Naish, because you should know. I mean, I just did a quick Google search to find out.
Right.
Well, what did they think about, species that weren't discovered yet? And there it is.
Yeah.
It goes hand in hand. So he should know better than that as a scientist.
Shame.
Right. So that's about it for that inarguable truth. Let's move on to inarguable truth number 2. The Kelly Nash video creature or creatures remain largely unidentified. Now, although some of the splashing in the video, if you watch it in slow motion and stuff, I'm sure you can find it. It's the 2009 Kelly Nash video. They do say some of the splashing could be from a cetacean blowhole. It's blowing air out. It's breathing.
Right.
And when, a dolphin or a whale surface, they do that. Then they breathe and they dive again. So that blowhole kicks up all that water. I don't think it is. I think it looks more like a fin splash because it comes to the side rather than straight up like a blowhole usually does.
Mm-hmm.
But also, when we were watching that video, what was the first thing you noticed?
The dorsal fin.
You couldn't see any dorsal fins because right after that we watched, I should back up. One of the explanations is, well, it's just a bunch of dolphins swimming in a straight line. But there's no dorsal fins. What, were the dolphins swimming upside down?
And it's the wrong color because dolphins are like a light gray and they're shiny.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what, they're always shiny.
Any part of their body comes out, they look shiny and smooth.
Like mirrored.
Right. You couldn't see anything like that. It was jet black.
Yeah.
The point is when you can't see, the dorsal fin stuck out like a sore thumb when we watched a video of dolphins swimming close together.
Correct.
Dorsal fin stuck out like a sore thumb. There's no mistaking what that was. So the argument that this Kelly Nash video was just dolphins, it falls short. I'm sorry. So I looked it up, of course, because you know how my brain works.
Yes.
I discovered there are several species of dolphins and porpoises that are naturally missing their dorsal fins. And they have long bodies, which could be a legitimate explanation for the Kelly Nash video.
Are the ones without the dorsal fins, are they shiny?
Well, yeah, I would think because they're dolphins, so yeah, probably. Both the northern and southern right whale dolphins naturally lack a dorsal fin. The problem with that is there have never been any confirmed reports of either right whale dolphin species being sighted in Cadborough Bay or in the area of Cadborough Bay ever. So there you go.
So yeah, that debunks that.
Right. There, the southern and northern right whale dolphins habitat range is way far away from the area. I'm talking hundreds of miles.
Like more warmer waters?
Actually, colder waters.
Oh,
I
colder
think.
waters.
Yeah, the northern one's like way up by the Arctic Circle, and the southern one's all the way down by Antarctica or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. There's also the Indo-Pacific finless porpoise and beluga whales, who also don't have dorsal fins. But the problem with either of these species is they're white. They're solid white.
That video, there's no white.
No way that's a white creature. In fact, they took like average lay people that I saw on this test because they were trying to say that because something is white under the water, that it sticks out to a lot of people that don't know anything about like whales or dolphins or anything like that. So they showed video of like something white swimming underwater, and everybody was like, "Oh, that's a beluga whale."
Yeah.
Without even being able to see what it was. As soon as they saw the white body, the long white body, they said, "Oh, beluga whale." Yeah. The point is that they wouldn't mistake it. If they saw it out of sea, they'd see something white and go, "Oh, that must be a beluga whale."
Right.
Now, there are several species of larger whales that also lack a dorsal fin, or it's just very small and not very prominent, but they're way too recognizable to ever be mistaken for anything unknown. For example, the humpback whale. The other one is the gray whale. Both of those are very, very recognizable, especially by people in that area, because they're there all the time, and they surface all the time. People see them all the time. So there's no way they're going to go, "Oh, look at that, it's a new species." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, we talked about the six-gilled shark earlier.
Right.
They're also technically missing a dorsal fin because it's so far back towards the rear of the body near the tail. So if it was swimming towards the, close to the surface, you might see that long body. And also, the female gill sharks are actually larger than the males. They can get to 13 to 15 feet in length. So it has the length of Caddy, down pat, and it's got that long, thin body, which could explain the carcass. The problem is we were talking about it when we were looking at the photo of it, the tail.
Yeah, the tail.
It had that long top fin on the tail.
Yeah, you would notice that.
That if it came close to the surface of the water, I think you would see the tip of that tail several times in that video.
Right.
Also, six-gilled sharks are deep-sea fish.
Oh.
Now, sperm whales do eat six-gilled sharks and other deep-sea fish. I didn't know that. I didn't know they ate sharks and other fish. I thought they just ate squid. But no, anything that's deep-sea that they can swallow, they'll suck in their mouth and they'll eat. The problem is, Caddy didn't have shark teeth or anything that resembled shark teeth near the head, and it didn't have that weird camel or horse-like looking head, or six-gilled sharks don't. So,
yeah.
Plus, if you remember in the gist, the fishermen all said that they were very familiar with six-gilled sharks.
Right.
Of course, science says, no, they're not, but they are. so they would know what a six-gilled shark would look like,
Right.
especially the carcass of one. So in my opinion, the six-gilled shark could be an explanation for the Nash video, but not the caddy carcass. Okay, so let's move on to Inarguable Truth number 3. Oarfish sightings out at sea are not a good explanation for sea serpent reports. And when we're talking about this, we're talking about like back in the day, when sailing was still new and science wasn't exploring the ocean yet. That's what we're talking about. Everywhere I looked when I was researching caddy, everywhere I looked, they all said the same thing. Well, oarfish are notoriously a great explanation for sea serpents sighted at sea for, all those ancient mariners and stuff. And I was like, what? Contrary to popular belief, oarfish swim vertically in the water. In other words, their heads are pointed up toward the surface and their tails are aimed straight down to the bottom of the ocean.
They swim weird.
And that's how they swim.
Yeah.
So if you saw something like that out at sea,
You'd only see the head.
You would only see the head. You wouldn't see that long serpentine body that they're talking about when they're talking about sea serpents.
Right.
Also, because they swim the way they swim, they don't have that undulating movement up and down, forming those humps when they swim. Nor do they weave back and forth serpentine-like, as some of the reports state. So, no, they are not a good explanation for sea serpent reports out at sea.
No.
Now, the only possible misidentification of oarfish would be carcasses, either floating out in the ocean and they see it and go, oh, what is that? Or that have been washed up on shore. Now that, hands down, I will agree. If you're going to make that argument, hey, they're a good explanation when people found their carcasses. Absolutely. Because they have that long body.
Right.
They got that shiny, kind of smooth.
Yeah.
They got the frill on the back,
Yeah.
They got those weird, I don't know what they are, like feelers on their head and stuff.
Yeah.
So
But only the carcass, though.
But only on the carcass, because even today, oarfish are rarely seen. There's not very much known about them. We only recently found out that they swim vertically, so that's kind of a defense for some people making that comment. Except they keep using it. They're extremely elusive, they live in deep water, and we know almost nothing about them. So yes, if they're on shore, perfect explanation for possible sea serpent sightings in the past. Because otherwise, if you saw it at sea, all you'd see is the head. It's not a good explanation. Fishermen at sea and eyewitnesses on shore described caddy as having a long neck that lifted out of the water with a camel-like or horse-like head. Not only was the head similar in appearance, but also in size. They said it was close to the size of a horse's head. They also described it as undulating up and down in the water, its serpent body forming humps along the surface as it swam. Oarfish don't have horse or camel-like heads, nor do they undulate in the water as they swim.
Yeah.
Oarfish are out, in my opinion.
That one's done.
Yeah.
The oarfish can't be it, because the oarfish would come up, just come out, and the splash would be different too, because it would just come out like the head, and then the splash would be it wouldn't look like a blowhorn. Blowhorn? Not a blowhorn.
Blowhole. Blowhorn. Well, even if I don't know a lot about oarfish.
No, they probably don't come. Their head probably doesn't come above the water.
They probably don't come above to the surface. I don't see why they would. I mean, maybe if they did, I don't know if they can stick their head out of the water though.
Yeah,
and even if they could, it wouldn't look like a camel or a horse.
It looked like a finger.
Exactly. Okay. So let's
move on.
Let's move on to Inarguable Truth number 4, which is it is difficult to classify a species without a carcass or physical sample. This is almost in defense of science, which we rarely do, but we have to be fair. The photographs of the creature are like 70 years old now.
Yeah.
And the creature's carcass and any physical evidence was lost long ago. So all we have to go on is eyewitness testimony and stories of sightings of similar creatures that could be a Cadborosaurus. And that's it. Now, while doing my research, I thought I hit gold, because to me, a partially digested elephant seal would be a logical explanation. Out of all the other explanations I found, elephant seals are massive, and even a female could easily fit the length of the Cadborosaurus. If it's partially digested, maybe that's why it looks long, because all the soft tissue's gone. You're just looking at the spine and part of the tail and the fins and part of the skull.
Okay.
Plus, the male elephant seals have that long proboscis-looking thing on their heads that kind of matches that camel-like appearance that you see on all the drawings and in the photograph of the carcass.
Right.
The tail would also be a match, because they said that they believed that the tail was only half of it is there. So when you see that single fin, there should be a fin on the other side. And we have sketches of that. You saw the picture of that where it had both sides. And that could be something like a seal-like tail.
Right.
So I was like, did I just solve this mystery? Did I just answer
Your own question?
My own searching and seeking? No, I was shot down. Womp womp. Because sperm whales do not hunt or eat elephant seals. Sperm whales are specialized hunters adapted almost exclusively for catching deep water squid and various demersal fish, deep water fish. Their jaw structure and lack of slicing teeth are not designed to hunt, capture, or consume large marine mammals like seals. A sperm whale's primary diet consists almost exclusively of giant squid, colossal squid, and a variety of medium to large-sized deep water fish. They use echolocation to track their prey in the dark depths of the ocean and then basically suck them into their mouths and swallow them whole, basically, rather than tearing them apart. Their teeth are shaped like pegs located only on the lower jaw, which fit into sockets in the upper jaw. So when they close their mouth, that squid ain't getting away. There ain't no way.
Yeah.
This setup of jaws is perfect for gripping slippery squid, but very poor for biting chunks out of a seal, because that's what it would have to do in order to swallow it.
Yeah.
So there's no way.
You said they were like pegs, not like sharp.
Exactly. So it would have to swallow the elephant seal whole. They're way too big to be swallowed whole by a sperm whale.
Too narrow too, right?
Yep. So that's it. My own explanation fell on itself after I started doing a little bit of research into sperm whales.
There you go.
Of course, we're back to our buddy the basking shark explanation. Oh, it's just a decaying basking shark. Nothing to see here, folks. That doesn't match either, because look at the tail. The tail is described as being horizontal, like a dolphin's.
Right.
Not straight up and down like you would see in a basking shark. So that doesn't match. Plus, I don't think it would have to be like a baby basking shark, because it's only 12 feet long. Basking sharks get way bigger than that. Even a large sea lion, they only get to about 8 feet long. A large male do. They're only 8 feet long. They're way too small to explain the catty carcass. And, again, sperm whales don't hunt seals. So
there you go.
Now here's the thing, and this is in favor of catty possibly existing. Local indigenous people have stories and traditions that speak of sea serpents that protect certain waters in the area. And those stories date back hundreds and hundreds of years. Is it just coincidence that they have all these stories and then people are seeing something that matches the stories in the area?
No, not a coincidence.
If that's what you want to say, then sure. To me, that's a stretch.
Yeah.
I think there's something to it.
There's sometimes a truth about folklore.
No, yeah, we always argue that.
Yeah,
every folklore is based on some type of truth. Yeah. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Now, baby Cadborosaurus have been found and turned in to science. Science examined them, and they're like, no, these are just pipefish. And we looked at a picture of a pipefish.
Right.
A giant pipefish would be a really good explanation for catty, right? It's got that weird shaped head,
right?
The long body,
right?
But it would have to be an unknown species of pipefish, and it would have to be gigantic.
It'd still be a new species,
right?
No matter what, it'd still be a new species.
It would still be a new species. There's also been anecdotal reports of several people catching what they thought were baby Cadborosaurus, but they always said that they released them back into the wild. So no evidence, just stories. So that's about it for that. Let's move on to Inarguable Truth number 5. There is very little chance that lake and sea monsters are surviving dinosaurs. I don't know how many times I have to make this point, but I'm going to do it again. Dinosaurs like Plesiosaurus, Elasmosaurus, and Basilosaurus were all marine. They were either marine reptiles or whales that breathed air. They would be seen way more often. That's why you could go whale watching. Why? Whales have to surface to breathe, right?
Right.
and you can see them. Oh, there they are.
Yeah.
If there are sea serpents out there, they cannot be air breathers because they'd have to surface too often, and especially in lakes. That's why as soon as, I don't mind looking into lake creatures and stuff, but as soon as somebody starts talking about, oh, it's a plesiosaur, I'm out. You lost me. Because there's no way, if an air-breathing, undiscovered species existed in a lake, I don't care how large the lake is, you wouldn't have 100 sightings a year. You would have 100 sightings a day.
Yeah, basically Victor doesn't believe in no lake soars.
Lake soars?
Yeah, soars, see? Soars. Plesiosaurs.
Wow.
Elasmosaurs.
I'm just saying they can't be air breathers.
Yeah, I know.
If you're going to say, hey, it might be an amphibian, it might be an unknown species of eel, it might be a weird fish, okay, I'm with you.
Okay.
As soon as you start talking about dinosaurs, I'm out. It can't be. Plus reptiles, what marine reptile, what do they need? They need warm water.
Yes.
They're cold-blooded.
Yeah.
They're not going to live in the area of Cadborosaurus. The water's freezing up there.
Yeah.
They would die. That's why let's move on. Now, that's the reason that some rare species that have been discovered recently, during my cursory research, I ran into a species that I didn't hear about until very recently. It's called the megamouth shark. It's kind of like the basking shark.
Oh, okay.
It's a filter feeder. It was discovered in 1976. But the point is they breathe underwater and they stay underwater. That's why we didn't know that they were there.
Ah.
Plus, they're rarely seen because they only come close to the surface at night because they feed on plankton. So what are the odds of anybody seeing them?
Oh, yeah.
Slim to none. But if it was an air breather, they'd have to come to the surface all the time.
Right.
That's the point.
Yeah, nobody wants to go out to the sea at night.
Right. But even if you were out at the sea at night, you would hear it surfacing. You would hear it breathing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it goes back underwater. You know what I mean?
Right.
Then you'd be like, oh, what was that? And you'd be with the spotlights and you discover it. That's the point of this inarguable truth. The idea that they could be possibly surviving dinosaurs, if that's your niche and that's your shtick, fine, but I'm out when it comes to that discussion. Well, plus some of the lakes freeze over during the wintertime. They become solid ice. Well, what's it doing under there? What is it? Go into some underwater cavern where there's like an air pocket and it kind of chills out like a frog or something, It's just...
I don't know. Well, no. I agree with you. I don't think they're dinosaurs.
You don't think Caddy's a dinosaur?
No, I don't think there are any sores.
All right. Now, Bausman and LeBlanc stated that every elongated animal in that area had been put forth as an explanation, as a possible explanation, I should say, for Caddy. These animals included conger eels, humpback whales, elephant seals, ribbon or oarfish, basking sharks, and sea lions. They state that no known creature is a match for the characteristics found in over 200 sightings collected over a century just in that bay alone. I have to admit, that's a pretty bold statement. Now, they noted that Caddy is described as having flippers both anteriorly and posteriorly. In other words, it has 4 sets of fins. I don't know, kind of like that Zuyumaru carcass?
Oh, yeah. Interesting. Over 200 sightings. That's a lot.
Just in that bay alone. In the area, there's hundreds and hundreds more. I think they said there was 300 in another area and like another 300 in another area. We're just
talking about the bay.
We're just talking about the bay.
Wow.
200 sightings. So let's move on. We're at the finish line.
Yep.
Inarguable truth number 6. Science believes that large, unknown vertebrate marine species remain undiscovered. We've always made this argument as far as like the ocean is concerned. We made it several times in the Zuyumaru carcass episode, which was episode 21, Monsters of the Abyss 1. We have no idea what's in the ocean. That's what we kept saying. We have no idea what's out there. We have no idea what's out there.
Yeah.
But we've been vindicated. Because a man named Charles Paxton in 2001, who was a fisheries ecologist, plotted species discovery rates over a time to generate a curve and found that as many as 47 large open water marine animals still await discovery. They're just sitting out there waiting to be discovered.
Wow.
Statistically speaking. He kept working on the chart, gathering more information, and he actually got the figure all the way up to 51 undiscovered species in 2001, according to Darren Naish. There's Naish again. So he's the one that's bringing this case to the surface for people to see, and you can see that now science is saying what we're saying. There's undiscovered species out there that are just waiting to be discovered.
And that's 20 years ago, so who knows how many more?
Who knows? I think we discover 45 new species a day.
Wow.
On average.
Really?
Of course, some of those are plankton and, fungus. But still, 45 new species a day on average. Sometimes a lot higher than that. A day. Think about that. The idea that something can't be a new species, it's just silly. It really is. So we know basically what happened in this study, Charles Paxton's study. Other scientists, of course, reacted to this, his graph, his curve.
Right.
And they started doing their own. And they found out, oh crap, he's right. Now they managed to get the number to about half. I think it was like 26 or 27.
Okay, but still, that's a lot.
Exactly. Who cares? That's still 25 or 26 large open water marine animals that still await discovery according to science.
Wow.
So now we have science backing us.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, who would have thought? Yeah. We're untouchable, baby! Now, around 98% of the ocean floor and over 80% of the open water in the ocean remain completely unexplored. Since the ocean takes up over 70% of the Earth's surface, I would argue that most of our planet's surface remains unexplored.
That's a high percentage.
Yeah.
Wow.
Basically, we have no idea what could be out there in the deep waters. No idea.
And maybe we're not supposed to.
I don't know. You could be right. So let's move on to the summary.
Okay.
Going back to your point, do you remember?
Yes.
You brought up to me, you said, I think it might be a giant seahorse. So I looked up the fossil record. There is no evidence of giant seahorses in the fossil record. But, and there's a big but there, seahorse fossils, according to science, are extremely rare. And the only ones they have found so far are like a third of the size of modern known species of seahorses.
Wow.
So it's not that they might not have, just because they're not in the fossil record doesn't mean that they didn't exist, basically, is what I'm saying.
Right.
So a massive species of extinct seahorse could flip the bill. What if it poked its head out of the water? You'd go, oh, look at that. It looks like a horse or camel head, especially if it's massive.
Yeah.
It would have the long body. When they unfurl their tails, they have those long bodies.
Yeah.
Or, we talked about this before, or it could be a pipefish.
But have you seen the different types of seahorses?
Oh, yeah.
There's ones that look like branches and ones that are like
kelp. They look like kelp.
Colors.
Yeah, they're bright and
See-through? There's see-through ones.
And then going over the points we made earlier, since discovered species also had wildly varying descriptions before their discovery, that is not a good argument against possible cryptid existence.
That's important to remember.
Yeah, and this is another argument I think I have to make because it was driving me crazy when I was doing my research. The idea that laymen who see animals every day, like hunters, fishermen, farmers, etc., that they can't have an expert opinion on the identity of an animal because they're not scientists is idiotic. In fact, do you remember on our show that we did with episode 12, Bring Back My Dog?
Yes.
On the ringdokus?
Yes.
Somebody came on one of our shorts and was criticizing us for that. Well, how do you know it's not a hyena? Are you a scientist? Well, no, but I don't need to be a scientist to know that's different.
Yeah.
The ears are different.
Right.
The stripes are different. The fur color is different. What, you got to be a scientist to say that fur's dark brown and that fur's not.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's like looking at a cat. You know what a cat is, a domestic cat.
You know what a house cat is.
You know a domestic cat. You look at it, you're like, oh, that's a domestic cat.
Someone who raises animals, breeds animals and stuff like that, not being able to make that determination of, hey, that's not a known species, or hey, I know what that is, simply because they're not scientists is idiotic.
Right.
Dog show judges. Dog show judges are not scientists, yet they are expected to be able to judge dog anatomy and species characteristics. They have to apprentice under established judges to become official judges. Their ability to judge dogs during shows is heavily reliant on their past experiences in raising, breeding, and showing dogs. In other words, you don't have to be a scientist in order to be able to identify a species if you have extensive experience with that species. If you see a dog like cryptid and a dog show judge is standing there, he's not a scientist, and he goes, that's not a known species of dog.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't make that call. You're not a scientist. What?
Yeah. Victor, that's an exceptional example. I like that.
Well,
I like
thank
that
you.
a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's really good.
And the argument against it is stupid. A horse breeder, somebody that's raised horses for 30 years,
right.
breeds all kinds of different species of horses,
Yeah.
raises horses, feeds, cares for them, exercises them, rides them for years and years. This horse breeder person is on the internet one day, let's say, hypothetically,
Yep.
sees a cryptid everyone says is horse-like, so they take a look at it. They say, no, that doesn't look like any horse I've ever seen, or I believe that might be an unknown species of horse.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
The idea that they can't have an expert opinion on that because they're not a
They're
scientist,
experts on that,
it's
though.
idiotic.
Yeah.
So,
it is.
and this is all going back to that argument I was making in the beginning with the fishermen and the crew and the sea captains.
Right. They've been on sea for a long time. This is their living.
Exactly. And they have to take classes. I didn't know this. Commercial fishermen often take classes and workshops on species identification.
Wow.
This is for special permits, regulatory compliance, or to ensure protected species aren't harmed and released safely. So they have special training as well on species identification. Knowing they have to know what fish they can take at the time, what they can harvest at the time. They have to know weights and poundages, and you know what I mean?
Right.
Because some of them are too small, they have to throw them back.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, I don't know if they did take special classes back then in, the 1930s, but I'm sure they had to go through some type of training even back then. And they have all that experience in collecting, handling, catching, and preparing familiar fish. So when they see something and they go, that's new, we've never seen that before, you can't make that determination. What?
Yeah.
Get out of here. Here's a lollipop. Go over there. Thinking too much. You're going to hurt yourself. Just because they're laymen, the idea that they can't identify catty as something new or unfamiliar is silly.
Yeah, like, have you ever gone deep sea fishing?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like when you're out and the captain, you see a fish and you're like, oh, I don't know what this, like me, the first time I went, I was like, oh, look at this fish. I don't know the difference between one fish or the other.
Mm-hmm.
But the sea captain's all, oh yeah, that's a this and that's a this. And I'm like, they look like the same fish.
Yes, especially if you fish, like if you're used to fishing off piers and stuff in the ocean, when you actually go way out, yeah, there's
on
way
deep
different
sea
species
fishing,
out there. So you're not going to know what
and
those
the
are.
captains know that.
But those guys will, because they catch them all the time.
All
They
the
see
time,
them all the
yeah.
time. They can take one look and go, oh yeah, that's that. I
Yeah.
know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's a perfect example. That's what I'm talking about.
Yep.
It's like a Cocker Spaniel. Going back to the argument against well, you don't know, you can't identify that as a hyena. You're not a scientist. I know what a Cocker Spaniel is.
Yeah.
Well, you're not a scientist. You can't make that call.
Okay.
It's the same color of a Cocker Spaniel.
Yeah.
It has the ears of a Cocker Spaniel.
Yeah.
It looks like a Cocker Spaniel.
Yeah.
That's it. The idea that I can't make that call, or like you said, a house cat,
Yeah.
is just, it's so arrogant and dumb.
It's like that old saying, if it quacks like a duck, looks like a duck, it must be a duck.
It must be a duck. And finally, we have to address the elephant seal in the room. You see what I did there? The taxidermic findings of Kermode. Remember Francis Kermode?
Yeah.
Admittedly, I'm not a zoologist and I'm not a biologist, but I'm sorry. Even in the photographs, those remains do not resemble a whale or a fetal whale in the slightest. The fin on the back doesn't match, the head doesn't match, and most importantly, sperm whales are not cannibalistic, nor are they capable of swallowing a 12-foot baby whale. So there you go. So let's move on to the conclusion.
Okay.
Conclusion, baby.
Uh-huh.
What do you think about the Cadborosaurus?
I think that it's a giant seahorse.
You still do?
Yeah, I do. I'm still going with that.
An unknown species of sea.
Yes, an unknown species.
Now, not to argue with you,
Okay.
but the waters in that area, I looked it up, are too cold for seahorses. Pipefish, yes. Seahorses, no.
Okay, but it's an unknown species. You don't know.
That's true. It could live in colder
It
waters.
said, your notes said earlier 80%.
80% undiscovered. Yeah.
80% of
True.
So you don't know.
Yeah, and 98% of the ocean bottom hasn't been discovered yet, so who knows?
You don't know.
So my first theory, that it was possibly a partially digested elephant seal that just got obliterated and shot down by my own research. I killed my own theory. But it got me curious. What actually preys on elephant seals? So I looked it up. Elephant seals are apex marine mammals, but they do have a few formidable predators in the ocean. Natural predators that come after them, like killer whales, is the number one. They're the primary predators of both adult elephant seals and young pups. Orcas actively hunt them for their thick blubber and highly nutritious fat.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Great white sharks are also known to attack and feed on elephant seals. And then leopard seals will occasionally prey on young elephant seal pups. Sperm whales don't eat them, so that's that. So in my conclusion is the idea that it can't be an unknown species, it's just silly. I mean, it really is. Could it be something known? Absolutely. All we're looking at is black and white pictures. We don't know.
Right.
It's hard to describe from the pictures, and if you were there and people that made sketches of it who were there, it doesn't look like a known species. Plus, people have been seeing something that leaves humps. There's these old tales of sea captains and people that go out in the ocean. The bay will be calm, the ocean's smooth in that area, and then all of a sudden they'll get this rogue wake right out in the middle of nowhere, like something large is moving under the water. In a creepy way, and they're like, oh, that's probably Caddy. Could it be? Who knows? Who knows what it is?
Yep.
The point is people have been seeing these things for a very long time. Don't forget about the indigenous people in that area, all of their stories about these things.
Yeah.
Coincidence? I don't know. I think it could possibly be a pipefish, an unknown species of giant pipefish, or some type of giant eel. Too cold for sea snakes.
Yeah.
I looked it up. Sea snakes need very warm tropical climates to swim in the ocean.
Yeah.
It's way too cold up there for sea snakes, so that can't be an explanation.
But who knows? Because I mean, like, it's funny how weird certain creatures are, like the platypus. I mean, come on, it could be anything.
Yeah.
It could be half seahorse and eel. Who knows?
So that about does it, baby.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening to our show. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for your support. We appreciate all of you. Have a great night. Good night.
And don't forget about our question of the week. Do you think Cadborosaurus could actually exist? Leave a yay or nay in the comments, and we will put your name in the credits of our next show, and we'll try to get you a sticker. Good night, everybody.